Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready. What do we got today?
Well, let's switch gears a bit. We're heading over to League One.
Ooh, League One. Beyond PSG.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to dig into a matchup that might seem like your average mid-table clash at first glance.
I like where this is going. Give me the details.
Reims versus Lens. Coming up this weekend. But as always, we're going to go beyond the surface.
Love that. So what makes this matchup special? What are we deep diving into?
Well, for starters, Reims has been on a bit of a roller coaster ride lately. They had that 3-game losing streak. Oof, not great.
Yeah, tough stretch for any team.
But they managed to bounce back. A win and a draw in their last 2.
Okay, so some signs of life.
More than just signs of life, actually. They've already bagged 20 goals this season, most at this stage since 1977.
Wow, 1977, that's saying something. They must be doing something right up front.
Right. And the sources are calling it, quote, finding the formula.
Finding the formula. I like that. Sounds like they've figured something out tactically. Or maybe some key players are finally hitting their stride.
Could be a combo of both, honestly.
Yeah, you need both, don't you? The right tactics and the players executing them.
Absolutely. But here's where things get interesting. They're facing Lens. And they haven't beaten them in, get this, 12 games.
Ouch, that's got to weigh on them. 12 games. That's a mental hurdle right there.
6 draws, 6 losses in that span. Talk about a monkey on their back. Makes you wonder how they're approaching this one mentally.
Right. Is it added pressure? Or does it fuel their desire to finally break that streak? Those kinds of streaks, they can really mess with a team's head.
No doubt. And to make matters even spicier, Lens is right behind them in the table.
Ah, so there's a lot on the line.
Big time. A Lens win would see them leapfrog Reims in the standings.
High stakes. But hold on, didn't Lens have a rough patch recently?
They did. 3 losses in their last 4.
So not exactly coming in hot.
True. But here's the thing. They've been incredibly strong on the road.
Really?
Yeah, only 1 loss in their last 7 away games. And you guessed it, that was against PSG.
Ah, well, that's almost an expected loss in League One these days, isn't it? Everyone loses to PSG.
It feels that way sometimes. But it does make you think about Lens and how they approach these away matches. Maybe they thrive as the underdog.
Could be. Maybe they play with a bit more freedom when they're not expected to dominate possession.
And speaking of interesting approaches, we have to talk about the Will Still factor in this match.
Oh, this is a good one. The former assistant at Reims, now leading Lens.
It's almost poetic, isn't it?
It's like a movie script. Left Reims, and now he's back to face them as the manager of their rivals. You can't write this stuff.
And the sources hint that his departure from Reims was a little, shall we say, complicated?
Unconventional terms, as one of them put it.
Right. Unconventional. Sounds like there might be some unfinished business there.
Maybe a score to settle. A point to prove. I'd imagine there's an extra layer of motivation for him in this match.
I bet on it. But let's not forget, this isn't just a personal narrative for Will Still. It's a tactical battle, too. And one thing that really jumps out is Lens's recent defensive woes.
Yeah, 8 goals conceded in their last 4. That's a lot.
More than they conceded in their first 8 games combined. Something's not clicking at the back.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. Could be a tactical issue, maybe some individual errors creeping in. Whatever it is, it's a vulnerability.
A vulnerability that Reims could definitely exploit, especially with Diakity in such fine form.
3 goals in his last 4 appearances. He's on fire. Even scored against Lens in their last meeting.
Exactly. But Lens has their own danger man in Frankowski. He's been pulling the strings for them.
Scored in both of their recent wins, even provided the assist in that draw against Reims. He's the engine of that team.
Yeah, speaking of that draw, it got me thinking.
Oh, I'm listening.
That last match ended 1-1, and Reims hasn't managed a single clean sheet at home this season. They're one of only 3 teams in the entire league with that stat.
Wow, okay. So we've got Reims, a team finally clicking offensively, but leaky at the back, especially at home.
Yep.
And then we've got Lens, who loves to hit on the counter, but are suddenly looking shaky defensively themselves.
Exactly.
So what you're saying is, this one might be a goal fest?
It's definitely on the cards. High stakes, personal narratives, and 2 teams that love to attack. What more could you want?
You've got me hooked. So when we're watching this Reims-Lens match, what should we be looking out for? What are the key questions?
Well, first and foremost, can Reims finally break that winless streak against Lens? Can they overcome that mental hurdle and get a result?
Right. And can Lens tighten up at the back? Or will they continue to ship goals?
Yeah.
Their road form suggests they can grind out a result, but those defensive errors are a concern.
And of course, the Will Still narrative. Will he get one over his former club?
So much drama. This is why I love League One. You never know what you're going to get.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It all comes down to those 90 minutes. Reims versus Lens. Don't miss it.
This is going to be a classic.
We'll be back next week for another deep dive.
Hey.
Until then, enjoy the football.
See you next time.
Take care.